Oh, that's amazing. I love the grit, though. I mean,
Yeah.
getting told no by the bank,
Yeah.
hey, throwing pizza parties to see what type of investors you could get. Hold on a second. That's got to
Yeah.
be one of the biggest in the country. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't heard many that are 150 to 200 dental chairs in one building.
We have never taken any private equity or third-party investment. It's always been through traditional banking. If I gave advice, I would say don't try to get out of the dental chair too fast. Stay in.
Welcome back to The Doers, the podcast where we dive into the real stories of building, struggling, and thriving in dentistry from the leaders in the trenches, shaping the future of dentistry. I'm your host, Dan Hall. Today, I'm joined by Steve Broughton, the CEO and founder of Light Dental Studios based in Washington State, right,
Yep.
Steve? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you on. You got a great story about how it's awesome. Like, went from buying a lot that had a converted mobile home that was a dental practice to now you have roughly 32 practices
32.
and probably some of the highest, concentration of, dental work being done from, is it Tacoma to Seattle?
Yeah. Olympia to Linwood.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, welcome. Let's go back to the beginning, because I mean, the one thing that kind of stuck with me last time we were talking is your vision that you had. And not many people are going to make a bet on a mobile home converted into a dental practice to then build it into this massive empire you have out there. So tell me the story. How did that happen?
Well, thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me
Of
on.
course. Yeah.
I never really had a big vision. I think back to it now, it seems like in the beginning, like most people, I was just flying by the seat of my pants. And I was a couple of years out of dental school, and I had that practice that was a mobile home. And
Okay.
I knew I couldn't practice there for the rest of my life. So I had a couple of acres of land, and I figured out that I could build about a 30,000 square foot building on the property, and that would maximize the land. So I took the plans to the county and then started the process of building it and getting permitting. And I was doing it on a shoestring. And I went from there to a bank, and I tried to raise the debt capital, and the bank laughed at me. And they said, "You have no experience in commercial real estate. You don't. It's in an area where it's not really a commercial part of the town." And they said, "It's just never going to happen." And they asked, "Do you have experience doing commercial real estate?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Yeah, you're in over your head. And just wait or hire someone once you've raised enough capital and saved the money, but it's just not going to happen." So I said, if I was to build it, what would you need? And they said, well, just to get the shell, at that time, it would cost roughly $4.5 to $5 million. You'd need about $1.2 million down. And they said, you've only got a few $1,000s in your checking account. We know because we gave you the money for the land. And they said, you've just got a long ways to go. And the building would need 50% full of pre-leases. And so I went from there. I would start doing these pizza parties on Friday nights out of my mobile home dental practice. And I invited everybody around the community that I thought would want to build a building together. And I would pitch this idea. And most people were not interested.
Okay.
I took it to a real estate developer, asked if they could help. They weren't interested. They said, it's not in the right part of town. It's not street front. It'd be very difficult to get people to want to lease in there. So I finally came up with this idea of building an all space with dentists and dental specialists. Because no one had really done anything like that in our community. So I said, look, we'll put all the specialties of dentistry in one building. And I got enough traction. I got 5 partners that believed in the dream. And so we built the building. By the time the building was completely finished, I had everything full, more than 50%. So the entire building, I'd sold every space.
Oh, that's amazing. I love the grit, though. I mean,
Yeah.
getting told no by the bank.
Yeah.
Hey, throwing pizza parties to see what type of investors you could get or partners to come in on this with you. And then having to shift again one more time to say, great, let's just focus on dentistry, which is now pretty common, right? To put multi-specialty in one space. So the patient's not having to go somewhere else if they got to go see the periodontist or oral surgeon.
It would become very instrumental in how our company would grow too. I just didn't see that at the time either, but it became a part of how our brand developed.
Okay.
So our company looks like a regional hospital system. That's the best way I explain it. We have, out of our 30 locations, we have 6 that are between 9 and 18 operatory. So they're larger dental practices.
Yeah, that's a big practice.
And then our biggest one is 40 chair, and that's in this building that I'm talking about. So as dentists started to retire, I would just take over the spaces in the building. And so it just kept growing out and growing out. And now we're in the process of trying to acquire the building back from my partners, my original partners. And if we do so, that practice eventually will be somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 to 200 dental chairs. And that's where...
Hold on a second. That's got to be one of the biggest in the country. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't heard many that are 150 to 200 dental chairs in one building. But is that still going across multi-specialty?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So it's a convenience that something that we've noticed is that as we've built these larger dental offices, that they can be quite efficient. The public likes them too because everything's in one place. We have also found that it lowers cost, and it's very different than a traditional dental office. So it gets a lot of attention. The downside is you need the draw. So you have to get patients that will drive a long way to want to come and see you. And so that was a struggle for us in the beginning, is building the brand so that the brand was big enough that people would travel to us.
Well, yeah, you're kind of rolling into the next question. That's something I had. I mean, you got an interesting start there with essentially not enough capital to build this.
Yep.
You make it happen. How are you doing this even today as you build this market out, which is kind of, it seems like where you're going there. And are you taking outside capital, or is it still just you and your original partner or partners? I don't know what that looks like from your
I have one business partner. She's been with me since she graduated from dental school. She's 20 years my junior. She owns 14% of the company. And it's just us. We have never taken any private equity or third-party investment. It's always been through traditional banking. It was really, that also came from that building that I built 2 years out of dental school, because it was that bank that said it would never come out of the ground is the same bank that when I got the building done, they believed in me. And I've had a wonderful relationship with that bank over the course of my entire career. I still know many of the same people that I started with that thought, oh, he's crazy, this guy, you know, what he thinks he could do. And they've been very supportive. When it comes to building something and you use traditional financing, you have to follow within traditional lending rules. That's what makes it hard, because private equity can use different things that they can go outside. Sure. And for us, the only way I could do that is I had to live below my means. So in my life, I've always lived well below what I earn. I've lived a very simple life most of my life. It wasn't even until maybe my late 50s that I started to even spend a little money. So I lived a very simple life in the beginning while we were growing. My company needed the capital
to build the business. Yeah.
So we had to reinvest it.
So with that, as you're growing, so you're taking your what you maybe normally take as a dividend, Instead of throwing it in your lifestyle, you're building it and putting it into the business to open up the next practice, go acquire the next building. Is that kind of the course you took there?
Yeah, it's a funny thing with people have been critical, financial people that have looked at our company because they say, well, you keep way too much cash on hand. Today, our company is debt free. We have a tiny bit of bank debt, but we have more cash on hand than we do bank debt, significantly more. And so some people will look and say, you're not really investing your capital wisely. You should be deploying it better. So that's one of the critical things that have been said about us. For me, growing our business the way we did, I just always had to have the rainy day fund. And even today, it's hard for me to leave that piece. But our company, while it grows a little bit slower, we've grown every year that we've been in business. However, we don't grow on the same level of, say, some of our DSO competitors.
Okay.
But it's safe, and we're healthy financially.
Well,
So,
that's what I was going to ask. I mean, when you look at that model, you're almost choosing control over speed.
mhm. Yeah.
And I was going to say, like, are you seeing a difference today now knowing where you're at and the path you've taken in comparison to some of your DSO peers that took the fast lane? I'm just, what's your perspective on that? If you were to compare the two businesses where we're sitting right now with going through tumultuous times at during different eras.
I don't know that. I'm not sure. It's hard for me to put a value on it because people that are much bigger than me, they're doing fine. I have friends that are doing it that way, and I think it's a great path. I think running a business is hard enough, and if we've grown over time, it can get really stressful. And the one thing that we have is that we've always been fairly healthy financially. I needed that capital when we were younger, and so keeping a healthy balance sheet has been a blessing to our company when we go through hard times, and we still go through them today. I mean, there's always a catastrophe on the horizon. Something happens, or you get a lawsuit, or somebody's always trying to take something, and so that's the part for me that I can sleep most nights.
Not most nights. Not
I
every
still have
night.
stress, but
So
I don't have as much financial stress anymore.
okay. Well, how about we shift a little bit? I mean, the
Okay.
financial part, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to hear that you are sleeping most nights. You can cover any like bumps in the road,
Yeah.
so to say. Or I'm guessing if an opportunity comes up, right, to
Yep.
buy a practice,
Yep.
you got the cash on hand to deploy.
Yep.
How did you go and build the brand though? So I mean, when I look you guys up, you got a strong presence in your marketplace. You got this tooth fairy, which is super cool. I'm just curious, like, where did all that pop out? Because I get your grit there to like crank and get the business going. How did let's talk about that creative side.
Yeah. I felt that I've always been a big believer in market share and the importance of market share. Many years ago, I read a book by Peter Thiel called 0 to 1. And I think at the time I read it, I had a single practice. I might have had two. But it stuck with me, this idea of growing out in concentric circles and commanding your market. And that's the way our company has grown. And so we've done that through a brand and building the brand and being a part of our community. We do a lot of things in our community, from free dental days to we do a lot of interactions with other businesses in our where we work. And these things have helped cement our brand in our community. The Tooth Fairy we had a gal, she was doing these videos on YouTube, and she'd do them for kids, and she had these little Tooth Fairy wings. And she was gaining a lot of popularity, more than we were seeing in some of our other broadcast media advertising. So we started talking about it, and we said, let's give you these really big wings. So we gave her these larger than life wings. They had our logo in them, which is a feather.
Okay.
And she started gaining a lot of attention after that. She'd go to the schools, she'd do assemblies, she'd go to the churches, she'd go to daycares. And now she does that probably 2 to 3 times a week, where she visits places. And when she was doing that, I said, what do the kids ask you? And she says, they want to know what the tooth fairy eats. They want to know where she sleeps. They want, just funny questions about how she lives her life. And I said, you know what we should do? We should write a children's book. And let's write a book about how Lumi, we call her Lumi because Lumi means light, and that's from our name, Light Dental Studios. But so we call her Lumi. And we wrote a children's storybook that has an oral hygiene message and how she fights sugar bug. And then when we finished the book, we took the illustrations from the book and we built a real forest in our main location, our 40-chair practice. And we did that because we wanted to draw. We knew that we were going to have to draw from a much larger community and that people would have to drive to us. And so we needed something that would cause people to want to come down. And so we have this whole thing that it would take me a long time to explain, but how there's an entire system that plays out that gets the child engaged with Lumi and the Tooth Fairy, and then they come for their visit. And when they lose a tooth, we have certain things that happen. And our hope, and we've already seeing it play out, is that our hope is that as the children grow, they will want that same experience for their children. And so we get a pretty big draw off that, and that's helped our brand.
Oh, it's fascinating. It's like a Disney World concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's
Yes.
just generationally
Yep.
continuing to go to this experience.
Yep.
That's awesome. You don't hear many people doing that about going to the dentist,
Right.
building it into an experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, didn't she also throw like the first pitch for like a baseball game? I thought you
she's
remember.
gotten pretty popular.
Really? She
She does that. We're premier sponsors with the minor league baseball team in the area. We also are in Seahawks Stadium. So that's part of our broadcast media. And we use her in our commercials. We get seen sometimes as a children's dentist. That's the only part that's been a little bit confusing for people. But we call it now the magic of light dental, and that it's for all ages. And so that's how we try to bridge that gap between looking like we're a children's dentist. So that's just a component of our company, though.
Okay. I suppose if you get the kids to go, I mean, you can convert
Mhm.
mom and dad over,
Yeah.
maybe some of the older kids,
Yeah.
and bring them in to the general side, and then you got the specialty folded in as
Mhm.
well too. So when it's time to get
We
those
have
wisdom,
found that the public really likes the tooth fairy parts, like on social media, that just gains a lot of attention. But we've had to bridge that gap back with people to understand that we're a full service dental office and we have all the specialties of dentistry and larger structures where it can provide convenience for our patients, where they can come to one place and get all of their dental care done.
that's smart. So you're taking that brand, it's like your growth engine.
Yeah.
Okay. Fascinating. So what do you see next? I'm curious. Like you innovated, you built that big practice, you expanded out, doing it debt free, no private equity. What's next for you and Light Dental Studio?
Mhm.
What do you see in the next 1 to 3 to 5 years?
I think there's a lot of talk today about exit strategies and what people are going to do with their company. And we've gone through that same process of looking and trying to figure out, okay, what happens to this thing? And we're in that process now, but I've always said, I'm going to do it till I die. And I like the journey. There's something that I like more than building a company. It's And I think it's a hallmark of our company is this virtue of loyalty. Half of my original staff retired with my company. My senior executive team, my executive team and my senior leadership team have never turned over. So we've built it together over time. We've walked through this life together, and that gives me so much more pride. It makes work more meaningful to me than anything that we could build financially. It's these human beings that I've gotten to walk through life with and have become my best friends. And that, and, my family, and it's brought, I'm going to repeat that again.
I like that though. I mean, so it's a sign of a good company, right? That's got a clear mission. They got a leader that believes in that and walks it themselves and isn't disconnected from the business, right? Sitting off somewhere else, you're inside of it still. Because that's pretty rare to keep your whole leadership team the whole time with not having them get recruited out to go somewhere else where they might think the grass is greener and not always know if it is or not, but there's there to drive what you started off with your pizza parties and built it into this opportunity for them to develop as a person.
Yeah, it's a concept that I've always believed in building a company that is not common. Most people who build DSOs bring their talent from outside. They're looking for highly talented people to help them scale. And as they get bigger, they need to bring more talented people that understand how they can get their business to grow. With me, I've taken a different approach. It's more of a promote from within. We only promote from within. But it's this idea of us against the world. And I have built my company by believing in people that are inside of it and giving them an opportunity to build something together. That's how we've done it. And that's why the leadership teams have never turned over, is that we're just loyal to the cause and what we've done. And I suppose in some world, maybe they could be recruited out, but I don't think it will ever happen. I mean, they're committed to this idea of us against the world.
That's awesome. So what are some roles that these individuals on your leadership team have come out of? Are we talking dental assistant, front desk, hygienist?
Dental assistant and front desk. That's where they came.
No, they did. Okay.
Yep. And now we have some dentists that are also starting to take leadership roles. We have an internal leadership development system, a 1-year ambassador status, and then they go through a year of leadership and management training. It's all from inside the company, and then a 5-year executives in training. So we have these formal programs that our staff can go through, but we make no promises to them that once they go through it, they will be a leader. It's just basically a testing ground to see how they do and what positions and roles that they can do to serve the organization. What I do tell people when they go through it is I say, regardless of what happens, you will become a better human being having gone through the process. And I've had so many people tell me that, and that the experience of going through it was worth it, just on who they became.
Sure. That's got to be rewarding when you hear that from somebody who's gone through it. And it's also fantastic you do that. I mean, I feel like when you have a team and you're building a team, they want to know what they're working towards, right? It's not just always about the money,
right?
And a bonus, because money's like a renewable resource. It's going to come and it's going to go. But that investment in yourself and being able to achieve something beyond the financial side. So that's awesome that you do that and give them something to strive for, even if they may not get it, right? Because we all understand that, I think, as humans, that you can try, but you might not get there. But hopefully you're better for doing so.
It's another thing that I believe in is that nothing ever comes in your time. It always comes after. Like you work and you say, when does it come? It just doesn't come in your time. But when it finally comes, you realize, wow, I did something really hard. I did something I didn't think I could do, and I stuck with it long enough that I'm actually seeing that it's working. And I've seen that throughout my life and throughout building the company. And even, I mean, it doesn't matter if when we look ahead, we know that there are problems coming. They're still coming. We don't know what those problems are, but we know they're coming. And they're going to be big obstacles that we're going to have to get around. But we also know that, as we've learned along the way, is that once we get around those problems, our relationship with each other will be stronger. And we also know that there will be a lot of meaning brought around sticking with something and not giving up on it.
Okay, so let's change for just 1 second.
Yeah.
As somebody who's built a company, you're building teams, building this brand, what do you do to disconnect as a person? What's your go-to to unplug from the whole thing and recharge Steve?
Well, first, I might answer it in two ways.
Okay.
Number one, I'm just always a big believer that you can always work harder. You can always do a little bit more. So I gain a lot of my energy from accomplishing tasks that I know need to get done. It's when I don't do those tasks that they start to pile up that I start to feel overwhelmed, because I'm not actually doing them. And so I'm feeling more overwhelmed. And so me actually working on a project or getting something off my plate is, in a way, it makes me feel less overwhelmed. However, that being said, there are things that I do. I started running every day about 4 years ago, and I'd seen someone on YouTube who was saying they ran every day for 30 days. And I thought, oh, wow, that would be really hard. And so I said, I'm going to try it. So I started running. I made a goal to run every day for 30 days. And I got to the 30 days, and then I just never stopped. And now I'm on 4 years and something. But that's a place where I do something very hard for an hour to an hour and a half. I run a minimum of about 6 miles a day. And on my longer runs, I'll run 10 to 14. But on my, it's something I do for an hour to an hour and a half where it's really uncomfortable, but it's meditative. And it's also a reminder to me that you can do hard things. And, yeah. And I do say, I do love my family, and I've been married for 32 years. I got 2 girls, and they are the thing that gets me up in the morning. But, and I know a lot of people say that, and maybe sounds a bit cliche, but human beings really are the root of what, in my opinion, what brings meaning to your life. It's other people. And I've been really fortunate to have my best friends at home and at work.
That's fantastic. Good to hear that you got some outlets, and you got family, you got this strong network to keep you going, keep building the business and the teams. So if you had a piece of advice, because I mean, we have a lot of people listening, watching this, they're looking to go and strike out on their own, or maybe partner with somebody else. What is one piece of advice you wish somebody had given you back when you were starting out, 2 years out of dental school, that you could maybe share with them and they could take away some pearls of wisdom?
Something that I hear a lot these days from people who are trying to build a dental group is, it's twofold. One, they'll say, I'd really like to get out of the dental chair. And another thing is that they want to know, they think that at some point the group gets large enough that they build, an enormous kind of financial wealth where it makes it worthwhile, all the sacrifice and the work. And if I gave advice, I would say, don't try to get out of the dental chair too fast. Stay in. I was between 20 to 30 dentists before I stopped working in the dental chair. It needs your capital in the beginning if you're going to grow, and if you're not going to take it from outside. It needs your work. And so I would work, I and my business partner, we would work during the day, and then we worked on the company in the evenings and on weekends. That's just the way we did it. And it really was a 7-day-a-week job. Like, it just never left us. But those things still
There's little sweat equity.
Right, but those things built over time, and they still exist today. Well, there's a lot of times I'm not working 7 days a week today, but it never leaves me. That part's always there, and it's something that I'm thinking about all the time. And if we're solving a big problem, a lot of those things take a lot of mental energy, and so you've got to give it the time necessary to be able to work around the problem. So I would say that, don't walk away from the dental chair too fast. And then the other thing I would say is, don't get hooked on the money, because it doesn't come for a long time when you're growing something. You do have to return it to your company. It needs your capital, and it needs all of your energy. And some people, I get it. I'm sure there are people that don't do that and build successful companies. It just, for me, that was not the path. It needed all of my energy, and my people had to see that I was there with them and that I was coming to work every day. I still go to work every day. And, but it's important that your people see you there and see that you're in the trenches with them, and you're figuring out the problems, and you're working around, and you're crying with them and laughing with them. And
it is good to not have that.
Yeah,
you're not separated from the by any degree. You're in it with them. Yeah, people love seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Steve, this has been great. I mean, I love your story from the beginning, like hosting the pizza parties, to building this brand where you have this density in that market and you're the dominant one, to building that brand with your Tooth Fairy, the book. I mean, it's fascinating. Thank you for joining me on the show today. It's really good, and sharing. I mean, it's been fascinating. Hopefully the listeners are pulling some pearls that they can take back and put inside of their business. So to those of you watching, listening, appreciate it. If you like the content, keep following us. And until next time, just keep doing the work.